What's going on, gang? It is the most wonderful time of the year to some people. Some people about to, have a holly jolly, and they're dreaming of all white. While some people are just dreaming of them off-white fours, or them off-white Balenciagas being under the tree. It's a very interesting time of the year. Shout out to that East Coast kitchen. Got that sushi on deck. I don't really subscribe to Christmas and things of that nature. I will be celebrating Kwanzaa with the fam. That's just because, that's how we do. For those that are unaware, Kwanzaa is a celebration which literally translates to the first fruits, and it's celebrating the upliftment and rebuilding and protection, restoration, and the upliftment of, more pro-black initiatives, not just black initiatives, but pro-black initiatives, because you have a lot of things with black face that aren't necessarily for the culture. And so I'll be celebrating Kwanzaa this year, and I'll be really doing my best to help uplift, build up, protect, preserve, and do right by my culture. Because at the end of the day, our culture, what do we have? Just a bunch of people. Just homogenous people. All being the same, looking the same, sounding the same. Eating the same, drinking the same, dressing the same. Playing the same, praying the same. Doing what they do. So, with all that being said, this is, of course, his ghetto point of view. Any of the new reviews, previews, or reviews, or just a twist of his ghetto point of view. It is the most wonderful time of the year. It is the most wonderful time of the year. It is the most wonderful time of the year. Got like mad bottles on deck, bottles on bottles on bottles of Martinelli's. Popping an apple cider. But we is in here making mad butter. I'm saying, got that magic butter just. For those that don't know, that's the sounds that it be making when it be in there whipping up that medicine. It's like paying a couple $100 to get your own real live gremlin in your house. Don't feed that shit after midnight. I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm in here feeling good. I got that sushi going in the air. Shouts to the home team. Shouts to East Coast. This is, what is this strain? This is a combination. It's Zittles and Cushmints number 18 by the Zushi team. Shouts to the Zushi crew. It's that good right here. Oh, man. This is their blue one. Catch the wave. I've had a couple of these different ones. I've had the yellow, I had the pink, and yeah, it's like they combine a couple different high grade strains, put it together, just hit you with the headbanger, hit you with a flamethrower, like a whole lot. You don't want no problems. So taste great, smell great, look great. It's all 10s. Taste great, smell great, look great. I have no complaints. It does the damn job. Whether you roll it up or you make some butters or some oils, whatever you do with it, it does the goddamn job. So shout to them, man. They got that sauce. It's been an interesting week, man. Got cookies kicking in. Whew, it's definitely been an interesting week. Such an amazing amount of mess going on in the news. Apparently, a nurse is having some very interesting reactions to the COVID vaccine. She has an extremely bad reaction to the Pfizer COVID vaccine, and she has no history of allergies. It's been reported a lot in the news lately. Some people saw the Alaskan nurse and how she passed out on TV, and they said that they had to suspend vaccine distribution at a hospital outside of Chicago for a little while, because a couple of the medical staff had some adverse reactions. Some were really bad. Most were mild, though. So this rollout has not been without its hiccups, So according to this article in The Sun, an Alaskan healthcare worker has suffered a severe reaction to COVID-19. Both appear to have had no history of severe reactions, suggesting they may not have been aware of existing allergies. Pfizer, and that's another thing too. They're saying that people who have extreme allergies should not take this vaccine. But what if something is in the vaccine that you're allergic to, that you never knew you were allergic to because you never really took it? You never really had anything with that base ingredient or active ingredient put into your system, and you could have a crazy adverse reaction to something that you weren't aware of, that you didn't even know that you would have a reaction to. Oh, pay attention to the words, because the story is deep, man. So according to this article from The Sun, both appear to have had no history. Pfizer has said that it is actively working with local health authorities to assess the situation. Prior to the vaccine rollout in the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration had advised people with allergies to consult their doctors to make sure that they are not allergic to any of the components of the vaccine. It follows UK regulators, the MHRA, who warned anyone with a history of severe allergic reactions to food, medicines, or vaccines to refuse getting the shot. But that's millions of people. That's millions upon millions of people. So, I'm going to keep reading. Two NHS workers in the UK suffered an anaphylactic reaction to the vaccine last week, both of whom have recovered. Anaphylaxis can be life-threatening, causing breathing difficulties, a fast heartbeat, and massive confusion. This does not sound like a good time. Symptoms usually occur within minutes or even seconds after exposure to a food or medicine, and so people who receive their jab, the Sun is calling it a jab, are kept around for 15 minutes to ensure they are well. And I know in some places they've extended it up to 30 minutes at least that you have to sit around so that they can supervise you. It's not like they're giving you the shot and sending you out the door immediately. So they are aware that, some adverse reaction can occur, and that, they should monitor and supervise you to see if they can remedy any type of potential problems that arise. Health officials have reassured events like these were not unexpected because the vaccine was new. That's the things that turn people off. It's like, this vaccine is new. This vaccine hasn't been tested as thoroughly as, some vaccines in the past have been, as far as long-term monitoring of individuals who took the vaccine. There hasn't been a 6-month monitoring period. There hasn't been a 12-month, 18-month, a 24-month, a 36-month, 5 years, 72-month. there's no 5 to 10 year, there's no 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year evaluation of this thing because, it's so new. And again, now that they're talking about there are evolutions of the strain in the UK and South Africa, respectively, that are really starting to gear up and look mean and nasty. How effective, or as they like to say, what's the efficacy? Like, how can it continue to be 95% effective against all strains that you need to be effective against if that's just not possible at this point? So, I continue. Health officials have reassured events like these were not unexpected. Of course, they know it's a new vaccine. Some people going, like, this is how people can start to feel like they're being used as guinea pigs. You know what I'm saying? This is how people could start to feel like they're being used as guinea pigs. This is how people start to feel like they're being used as guinea pigs. This is his ghetto point of view, bringing you the news, views, previews, and reviews, which is a twist of his ghetto point of view. Wednesdays and Sundays we get to it, like there's nothing to it. You know how we do it. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Protect your neck, guard your arms. Jesus. And Pfizer said the vaccine was well tolerated during the trials with no serious safety concerns. It has been trialed extensively on thousands of people worldwide and been declared safe and effective for use. But what troubles me about that is every single place that they've been trying it, there have been very significant side effects exhibited in all phases of this trial. There's not been a phase of this trial, as far as I know, with any of these three, whether it be the Moderna, the Pfizer, the Merck, that have had, rounds of trials without people really getting sick. And it's like you say, well, of course, that's what the trials is for, to test it on people, and people sign up for the trials and they know what they're getting into. That's a whole fact. But I was always under the impression that for it to get the seal of approval and the go-ahead, that it had to be safe outside of trials. It had to have a very low percentage of people that would ever be harmed or damaged by it for it to get out of trials. But here we're seeing with these emergency use orders, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a senator, I'm not a councilman, I'm just a regular person just looking over some information and giving my ghetto point of view on the situation, you dig? Like from my ghetto point of view, this situation looks crazy because it clearly is having a massive effect on people. People are having these unknown reactions to things that they previously were not allergic to. You have people, there's all different type of reasons being given for people to have Bell's palsy, tongue swelling, passing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we going to start seeing deaths? Are we going to start having deaths on national television? I mean, where does this go? Where does this go? Somebody gets the shot on national television and then, you know what I'm saying, their eyes roll in the back of their head and it's, cut the camera. Heaven forbid, man. I mean, what is really happening right now? So the article continues. The first medic to suffer an allergic reaction was a middle-aged woman who was not aware she had allergies, the New York Times reports. She had an anaphylactic reaction that began 10 minutes after receiving the vaccine. At Bartlett Regional Hospital in Ghetto on Tuesday, a rash quickly spread across her face and torso for her breathing and heart rate became rapid. Doctors rushed her into the emergency room where she was given a shot of epinephrine, which is adrenaline. The woman, who has not been named, stabilized, but when doctors took off medication, her symptoms would come back. The New York Times reports that the woman was moved to an intensive care unit where she was still staying on Wednesday night. A man who received his Pfizer jab at the same hospital on Wednesday was the second worker to fall suddenly ill. The man, whose age and name is unknown, developed eye puffiness, lightheadedness, and a scratchy throat 10 minutes after the injection, according to a hospital statement. He was also given epinephrine, and a among other dropped and was back to normal within an hour. The workers were two of just 144 people given a vaccine dose that day. But both bravely said they did not want their experiences to put others off getting the potentially life-saving inoculation. Experts said that the cases showed the hospital system was well equipped to spot any concerning symptoms in people once they had been given their jab. But questions remain over what ingredient in the vaccine is triggering a response. The Pfizer vaccine is genetic material called mRNA, coated in a bubble of fat. Dr. Paul Offit, a vaccine expert and member of an outside advisory panel that recommended the FDA authorize the Pfizer vaccine, said the molecule protecting the genetic material is called polyethylene glycol. It is considered a leading contender for triggering an allergic reaction, he said, but more tests are needed. And then it goes into saying the BioNTech Pfizer shot has the following ingredients: mRNA, lipids, potassium chloride, monobasic potassium phosphate, sodium chloride, diabasic sodium phosphate dehydrate, sucrose, and a messenger RNA is a critical part of the vaccine. The Moderna vaccine, a leading contender with finished trials, is made in a similar way. A Pfizer spokesperson told CNN, "We don't yet have all of the details of the report from Alaska about a potential serious allergic reaction, but are actively working with local health authorities to assess." I need to know. Like, what do you mean you don't know? We will closely monitor all reports suggestive of serious allergic reactions following vaccination and update labeling language if needed. Yeah, this is dangerous. That's all you need to put on the label. End of discussion. Like, what are we talking about here? The prescribing information has a clear warning precaution that the appropriate medical treatment and supervision should always be readily available in case of a rare anaphylactic event following the administration of the vaccine. Avoid vaccine if you have severe allergies. But they're saying that the people don't even know they have these allergies, and that these are things that these people have never been exposed to, so how would they know if they have an allergy to it or not? So this is not just for people to avoid if they know they have allergies, because if these are unknown agents that you wouldn't know you have an allergy to, then how would you know you have an allergy to it or not? What are we talking about here? Healthcare providers were warned not to give the vaccine to anyone with a known history of a severe allergic reaction to any component of the vaccine, which they said was standard warning for vaccines. About 32 million Americans have food allergies, according to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America. So that's tens of millions of people who potentially can't take this vaccine just off the rip without, and that's just food allergies. They also said if you have allergies to medications or ingredients in medications. How many other millions of people take medications regularly in this country? What are we talking about here? What if the number's like 100 million people that can't take this vaccine out of a country of 350 million people? Like almost 1 in 4 people potentially can't take this vaccine. Like 25 to 30% of the country. Because if they take it, they'll have a bad adverse reaction. So is it worth it to risk 1 in 4 people having a bad adverse reaction? Even 1 in 5, 1 in 10. Is it worth risking 1 in 10 people over the age of 16 having a bad reaction? I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I'm not a doctor. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention said American people with serious allergies can be immunized as long as they are monitored for 30 minutes after getting shot. However, the FDA is requiring Pfizer to monitor for anaphylaxis in the U.S. and submit data, the Times reported. This is crazy, and this is not going anywhere no time soon. This is absolutely crazy, and it's not going anywhere no time soon. Britain's medicine regulators earlier this month said anyone with a history of anaphylaxis to a medicine or food should not get the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The MHRA advice states any person with a history of significant allergic reaction to vaccine, medicine, or food, such as previous history of an anaphylactoid reaction, to those who have been advised to carry an adrenaline auto-injector, should not receive the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. More than 200,000 people in the UK, including children, have severe allergies that require them to carry an EpiPen. We really talking about millions and millions and millions of people who potentially cannot take this vaccine. Article goes on to say that both NHS workers who received the vaccine had a significant history of allergic reaction. So why would you give them this then? To the extent where they need to carry an EpiPen with them. So you saw an EpiPen with these people and said we're going to give them this vaccine anyway. Is y'all spider senses tingling? Because my antennas is way the fuck up right now. Excuse my French, but what the hell are we talking about? Pfizer officials have said that the 2 British people who had the reaction had a history of severe reactions. So again, more people were claiming we knew had history of insane reactions and still gave them this. One, a 49-year-old woman had a history of egg allergies. The other, a 40-year-old woman, had a history of allergies to several different medications. So then how did they even qualify to be a part of the first group of people to get these? If they are healthcare professionals, they go to the doctor all the time and all of their medical records are reviewed constantly by not only by their personal doctors, but doctors in the network in which they work, who have to clear them for work in the particular environments, the particular wings, the particular tier of the public, whether that be, working GYN, working with, toddlers or infant babies or newborn babies, whether they work in intensive care units or standing units, whether they work in, trauma, like they have to be cleared for duty and it's not a single one-time process, especially now during a time like this when everybody's on high alert. These people are constantly being cleared and rechecked and having their medical history poked, prodded, and reviewed by multiple people. And with all of these checks in place and these people, and the reporting saying that these people clearly carried EpiPens, they were still given this shot. Is your spider senses tingling? Cause mine is in full what the hell is going on mode. I'm feeling very much like Miles Morales. I'm feeling very much like Miles Morales right now. I'm tingling down to my fours. My sneakers is tingling. This shit sounds so crazy. Pfizer has said that its vaccine does not contain egg ingredients. The British update also said that a third patient had a possible allergic reaction but did not describe it. What? Professor Openshaw said that this is a very small chance of an allergic reaction to a vaccine with all food and medication allergies. However, it is important that we put this risk in perspective, he said on December 9th. The fact that we know so soon about these 2 allergic reactions and that the regulator has acted on this to issue precautionary advice shows that this monitoring system is working well. Yes, you're monitoring people potentially just die. That's like when you have a security camera and it's just watching people break in your house and leave with your shit. What did the security system do but watch people leave with your belongings and your property? I'm just saying. How does that make sense? The article also goes on to say that 4 people given the vaccine were diagnosed with Bell's palsy, a type of facial paralysis. However, the trial scientists said there was no evidence that the jab that caused the condition and that the figure was on par with the rate of Bell's palsy in the general population. Among non-serious unsolicited adverse events was a numerical imbalance of 4 cases of Bell's palsy in the vaccine group compared to no cases in the placebo group, though the 4 cases in the vaccine group do not represent a frequency above that expected in the general population. Time out. I don't ever expect to get Bell's palsy to have to go in and get a shot. I am in the general population. So are you saying that people should just generally expect to get Bell's palsy after getting shots? And because this frequency of Bell's palsy did not meet that criteria? Yo! What are we talking about, y'all? What the heck are we talking about? This is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. They said that 4 people got Bell's palsy in the group that got the actual vaccine. None got it in the group that got the placebo. So we know for a fact that the placebo did not give anybody Bell's palsy. But yet, because it didn't rise to a level that was statistically significant, it's not that serious. We just thought we should mention it. Hold on. I'm coming. I said, hold on. No. This is not a... Listen, again, we understand it's a new vaccine. People are gonna have adverse reactions. People are gonna be all type of allergic reactions naturally occur no matter what type of vaccine they're giving people. That is 1,000% the facts. We get all of that. Yeah, his ghetto point of view. We are not dumb or silly or naive to how science works and how medicine works or the practice of medicine. You know, these things are things that are unfortunately trial and error, and sometimes the errors happen even after the trials have passed, and they do trials for years on things, and errors and issues can still happen. We get that, especially when you're mass producing something by the hundreds of millions of doses. You mass produce hundreds of millions of phones. You get phones that can burst into flames and melt and, you know, just fall apart, shatter, burst, explode, all that right out the box, you know. So we get that. So if we talking about a vaccine, it's not going to be no different. As much as we would like it to be, oh well, there's such a high level of protections and precautions and safety nets and oversight. Even with the highest level of all that, you know, you can still have mistakes and still have errors. So we understand that. But hold on. Said, hold on. Everything ain't gonna be all right. Everything is not gonna be all right. This is crazy. And you see, what I don't like is I don't like to be gained. Immunity can happen in a multitude of ways. We all had 6th grade science class. Don't let these people play like they didn't teach us what an immune system is. And they didn't teach people that after you get the antibodies to something, your immunity is now up. Your body has now created immunity to a virus. I have never heard, now you need the booster, once your body has created the T cells for something. This is new information. And I'm not saying science don't evolve over time and things don't change. And with the evolution of different, with the evolution of different strains of viruses, with the evolution of just the environment, period, things in our personal bodies can get weaker, stronger, etc. Things can mutate. We're mutating all the time. We evolved and changing beings. I get all of that is 1,000% facts. But don't sit here and tell me that if someone has immunity to something, that they now also need a shot. For what? President Trump, I know like 3 people just left the room, and probably like another 100 gonna write me a bad review to hisghettopointofview@gmail.com. hisghettopointofview@gmail.com. Send the hate. I know like 100 people about to hit me at hisghettopointofview@gmail.com, or they're going to hit my Instagram inbox or my Twitter inbox for His Ghetto Point of View or HGPOV show, and they're going to be like, yo, Phantm Phuego, you bugging. Stop bringing up that orange head F-boy. Stop bringing up that fool on your show. I thought you had more sense than that, Phantm. You keep bringing up this retard. But anyway, this person who rightfully gets a lot of shots thrown at him because, he's done some very interesting things in his cabinet. They're just a good time, and I'll leave it at that. He made the comment that as people there's immunity spreading, herd immunity is spreading, and antibodies are being created, and that is protection against as well, in addition to the shots. He said the hundreds of millions of shots would be available, but immunity in your immune system is protection against it as well, and the media lost it. The mainstream media lost it. He said that people dying was helping people get better and create immunity. That is not what he said at all. People are dying, people are passing away, but far fewer people are passing away than what the initial projections were. I'm not saying it's a good thing for even one life to be gone, but what I am saying is that in a country where you have hundreds of millions of people, to have a couple 100,000 deaths in the grand scheme of things, though tragic, is not much off from what we would have every year with the different type of viruses and issues that plague us during these cold winter months in the East Coast areas, and unfortunately in West Coast areas, southern areas, northern areas. You guys have been hit at different times of the year as well, as the weather and the climates and things of that nature have changed in your neck of the woods. Feel horrible, feel sorry, and I send my condolences to anybody whose fam is gone or who can't see their fams. But this shit could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse, man. Like, it was projecting 2 million people gone already. And 200,000 is a lot, but 2 million is very, very much more, guys. We just have to be honest about the difference between those two numbers. You're talking about 1.8 more million people could possibly have been gone. 1.8 more million families touched and affected. 200,000 families is too many. 1.8 million families, you talking about a large portion of the nation reeling from loss at the same time, even more so than we already are. And I just don't know if we need that right now as a community. We don't need that as a nation. We don't need that as people. So he made the statement that, immunity was just building naturally as well, and that could be protected. That could protect some people also. People lost it. Like, don't tell me my science teacher was lying to me. Being my science teacher is smarter than you. I had the dope science teachers. Don't tell me my science teachers don't know what they talk about. I took health in college. I had to write a whole paper on abortions and all that. It's crazy, which is, I gained a lot more respect from females after writing that paper and taking that class. But yeah, it's really deep. It's really deep. So don't tell me herd immunity. Don't tell me immunity doesn't exist. Don't tell me herd immunity is not possible. Don't tell me if people's immune systems get the white T cells and learn the code for a particular virus or a particular group of viruses, that now all of a sudden for that same exact virus they need a shot. What would be the purpose of that? Even their doctors have gotten on the news and say, well, if you just got those antibodies in your system, you should talk to your doctor before you take the shot. Some of the doctors that they had on MSNBC and CBS and CNBC even said, when they were asking, should Trump take the shot? They were like, listen, that's something he's got to talk about with his doctor. Because they know if they say yes, he should take it, and he takes it and something happens, because he already has those antibodies in his system, they know they look crazy. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is a almost 80-year-old man. So to ask him to take this shot when he might not need it, they gotta be careful. They gotta be careful making a recommendation in either direction. But I did see that Pence took it, and Kamala, as well as President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Harris both took theirs. There's all type of rumors swirling around about that, but I'm gonna leave that alone until I, have a bit more concrete information to dig into with that. But I'm gonna just say my ghetto point of view has been looking crazy. My ghetto point of view has been looking crazy. You guys keep sending me information, shooting me with all types of links to different articles, and it's definitely appreciated, because you guys keep me on my toes. I got some of the greatest fans and the most amazing audience. Our community is dope. Our community is lit. Make sure you join it. Tell a friend and tell a friend. His Ghetto Point of View. Wednesdays and Sundays is when we get it in. Turn on the notifications and make sure you've got it. So whatever app you're on, Spotify, Tidal, Apple, Google, Amazon, Republic Radio, One Republic, Radio Republic, Radio Republic, wherever you're getting your podcast from, make sure that you have your notifications on, so that when we go live, when we post, when we out there getting to it, when we sharing and getting this information up, as soon as we done, you can sample that, listen back, play it back, love it, hate it, yell at me, curse me out. Write me an email to hisghettopointofview@gmail.com. hisghettopointofview, hisghettopointofview@gmail.com. Write me a letter. Let me know how you hate it, how you loved it, how you laughed, how you cried, how it made you think, I'm crazy. Either way, let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Give me some love. Let me know your point of view, because we all have one. My ghetto point of view is just that. We're gonna take a break real quick, guys. We're gonna jump back in. It's a lot to talk about. This is crazy times. Shit. This is Phantm Phuego. Let's go. You guys rock. So blessed. This is awesome. Yeah, guys, we are back. Crazy week. Thank goodness it's a short one, Many people will be heading out of town. Many people have already headed out of town. They're expecting roughly 100 million people to travel and get out of town, especially Dr. Birx, after getting caught up in the, for those that don't know, Dr. Birx is the woman who's been the senior lead doctor on the Corona task force. You've seen her on TV a lot telling people they need to social distance, wear their mask, etc. But now Dr. Birx, Deborah Birx, I believe her name is set to retire after she was caught with flying with about 3 generations of her family from about 4 or 5 separate houses, all traveling together on a plane to a winter home for joint Thanksgiving family celebration and a large gathering. And we don't know how many people actually met them there, on top of the several dozen people who traveled on the plane with her. This is not alleged. This has been confirmed. And she is now retiring because she says that her family has been being attacked incessantly for the past 2 weeks since they've done this. What does she expect? She's going around complaining, oh, my family's been stuck in the house for the past 10 months. My old grandmother, my mom, my daughter, we haven't seen the sun. But I mean, you're behaving like your family is alone in that. Millions of families across the entire country have not had the large gatherings like they're supposed to. We of course see the outliers. We see the people having their gatherings, still having their weddings, still having their funerals still. But the majority of the country has been acquiescing to the demands of social distancing, trying to stay safe, stay apart, wearing the mask, and doing all these things. And so to see your leaders, see the people who are giving these orders, the people who are giving these directives, the people who are directly paid by the citizens and who are allegedly supposed to have the citizens' best interest at heart and the nation's best interest at heart from a health and well-being standpoint, to see those people being so brazen, so cavalier, just doing their own thing, it makes other intelligent adults feel like they should be able to have the authority to make their own decisions about their own health and the risk or non-risk that they are creating by having a gathering. But it seems quite often that there's rules for us while they don't have to follow that set of rules. And this is not a new thing in society. This is just the newest example. And she's not the only one. She's just the only she's the largest public official who has been caught at this point. There are tons of reports of other mayors, senators, congressmen, House of Representatives, people being caught at their vacation homes, being caught at dinners. Even Nancy Pelosi was caught at a nail salon and at dinner having, in a large gathering of people without a mask on. No one is asking Nancy Pelosi about it, but it's been blatantly caught on camera. So when you have these high-level officials who are all pushing this particular course of action, like everybody's got to do this, we all got to team up and do this, or it's detrimental. You're killing your grandma. You're killing your uncle. These people are somebody's grandma. These people are somebody's old aunt, and they the ones not practicing it. So it's crazy. So you're saying the younger people have to suffer, stay inside, not gather, while you older folks, the ones who are at risk, the ones who were supposed to be averting these risks for, get to just go out and just live your life. Well, I guess you're at the end of your rope, so you get to do what you want. You know, you kind of give seniors kind of green light to just live their life however. But when do we become a society who caters to its seniors over the young up and coming people? That's not how society should work. We should honor our seniors. We should respect and revere our seniors, and our seniors should be able to live their life as they enjoy. But when you have a country or a society which is catering to its seniorly population more than the younger people, then you have a problem, because the seniors of the population are not the breadwinners. They're not the ones making the most money. You have your outliers, of course, your Warren Buffetts, owning Berkshire Hathaways and whatnot. You've got your millionaire and billionaire class. But outside of that, 10% of people, most seniors are, the ones that don't have savings and the ones that don't have a good retirement plan put away. They're living subsidy to subsidy. They're barely making it. The ones that don't have their own businesses, the ones that don't have assets, they're barely surviving. They're scrapping by, and they are generally the ones that society has to look out for and take care of. So if we're doing this sacrifice and this looking out, this taking care of, you elite seniors cannot do this, because it makes the rest of the seniors who can't get away with that feel even worse. They're going to have more mental anguish, more trauma, more depression, because they can't get out and see their families and do the things that you guys can do just by jumping on a private jet. And B, it makes everyone else extremely upset. Everyone else in the country, old, young, rich, poor, it makes them all extremely upset that they can't experience the same things without being labeled reckless, being dangerous, causing risk, causing harm, creating trauma. And that's just disgusting. That is really disgusting, that we live in such a time and in such a society that we are allowing these things to blatantly go on right in our faces. They are doing what they do, but what's even worse is we sit around and just accept it sometimes. It's very, very unfortunate. But maybe they all boosted up on vitamin D before they got on the plane. A Boston University doctor. But this is something that's been being said, since last year. Tyler Perry made some very poignant remarks about it at the beginning of 2019. I'm sorry, at the beginning of 2020. He was like, vitamin D is something that everybody should really be making sure they get a lot of. Not only supplements, but you should try to get out in the sun as much as possible, even as it gets cold. Because yes, you can get vitamin D from supplements, but that generally takes a few days to break down in your system. And it's not as effective as the sunlight vitamin D to give you that hormone to just grow and boost your immunity, boost your lungs immunity from a respiratory ailment, because at the end of the day, these things are SARS-CoV is just a respiratory issue, and vitamin D or hormone D, however you want to look at it, because it is actually truly a hormone. The more research we do on it, the more information that pops up. I guess that's why giving such a large amount of it to kids can help them grow so massively. All makes sense. And so, this Boston University doctor, according to the Boston Herald, vitamin D can help lower your risk of COVID by up to 54%. That is not bad. Vitamin D can help reduce corona risk by 54%, Boston University doctor. The sunshine vitamin, which is truly actually a hormone, is easy to find and relatively cheap. Of course, you just go outside. Duh. Stop waiting for a miracle drug. A Boston University doctor says a sufficient amount of vitamin D can cut the risk of catching coronavirus by 54%. People have been looking for the magic drug or waiting for the vaccine and not looking for something this simple, said Dr. Michael Hollick, a professor of medicine, physiology, and biophysics at Boston University School of Medicine. Hollick and his colleagues studied the blood samples from Quest Diagnostic, which is, a leader in doing testing and stuff all around the country, of more than 190,000 Americans from all 50 states, and found that those who had deficient levels of vitamin D had 54% higher COVID positivity compared to those of adequate levels of vitamin D in the blood. The risk of getting coronavirus continued to decline as vitamin D levels increased. The study, published with the Public Library of Science, a peer-reviewed journal, shows. The higher your vitamin D levels, the lower was your risk, Hollick said. And this is, there have been a ton of excellent studies on this. I actually, at the beginning of last year, watched a lecture that was given by some doctors and professors at Louisville University, where they talked about how vitamin D is really in correlation with SARS and COVID, and they talked about the different strains of COVID from, COVID 1, COVID 2, COVID 3, COVID 4. Well, the main ones, because there are tons of mutations, but there are main strains of mutations that are much stronger and will mutate and spread to a degree that could cause us alarm. And so they were adamant that back in the day, doctors would literally hospitals that would have wings with beds that would just sit outside in the sun. So if the people were vitamin D deficient or people were sick or ailing for particular things, they would literally just sit them out in the sun, and literally had units with whole wings of beds that would just have people just lay in beds that were propped outside and had the people basking in sunlight. Just had the people basking in sunlight. Now, why don't we practice that type of medicine these days? Is it that, pharmaceutical companies wouldn't make the money that they want to make if people just can get vitamin D from basking in sunlight? Would milk companies not make as much money as they'd like to make? Dairy companies, if you could just get a bunch of vitamin D basking in sunlight? I'm not a fan of dairy anyway. I think dairy causes entirely too many problems, as you guys saw the article that I presented a few episodes back, where dairy increases women's chances of breast cancer by over 50%. If you can naturally get vitamin D from the sun, why not? If you have to get it from supplements, that's what you have to do. I also supplement my sun intake with supplements, because I'm in the East Coast, so we don't get direct sunlight all year like we should. So I definitely do take some vitamin D as well, and have been heavier on the supplement side with everything going on this past year. So I'm definitely trying to balance out both. But that sun is definitely the most powerful, most potent source of vitamin D that you can get, and it's the source that digests into your body the fastest and is the most effectively used by your body, because it immediately can transition over into the quote-unquote vitamin D that your body needs, or the hormonal D. So the article continues. Many people are vitamin D deficient because there are only small amounts in food. Most vitamin D comes from sun exposure, and many are deprived, especially during winter months. But the sunshine vitamin is easy to find and relatively cheap in drugstores, and taking vitamin D pills comes at no risk. It's perfectly safe. That was actually that study that I was checking out at Louisville University, was pretty much saying similar things. You would have even dosing yourself in extremely high amounts, like 10,000 IUs, which is a unit of measure for supplements, vitamins, period. is it IUs or US? I gotta double check. But either way, the pills I take are like 1,500 IUs units. And they were the study from Louisville University was showing like people were taking 8,000, 10,000 units, as is they give people who are extremely deficient a huge burst of it just to kind of balance the system back out in an immediate fashion if there's a respiratory disease or some type of ailment they want to deal with, because vitamin D or hormonal D, whatever you want to talk about, how you're comfortable thinking about it, it really helps so many different parts of your body, not just your bones. I mean, your lungs, your respiratory system. It helps with brain functions. I mean, there's so many things that hormone does for us, and we really can get a ton of it just by being out in the sun for extended periods of time. In these winter months, though, it's hard because you can't be out in the sun with less clothes on, because you really want to try to expose as much of your skin as possible to the sunlight. So it's really good to get out and get active in the times that it's nice and warm in your community. And that's kind of why a lot of old folks like to move down south, because that sun. It is considered to be by many the nutrient of the decade. Hollick said COVID-19 positivity is strongly associated with vitamin D levels in the blood, a relationship that stayed the same across different races, sexes, and age ranges, the study states. Vitamin D suppresses excessive cytokine release that can present as a cytokine storm, a common cause of COVID-related morbidity and mortality. Okay, so a lot of the comorbidities can be associated with this as well. A deficiency in the nutrient alters the immune system, making one more likely to get upper respiratory infections. Throughout the pandemic, people of color have been disproportionately affected by the coronavirus, experiencing a higher risk of acquiring it and having serious complications, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Unfortunately, a lot of black people, black and brown people, live in low-income communities that are, in sun-deprived areas. New York City, Detroit, the list goes on and on. Milwaukee. Pretty much, if you live in anywhere on the upper East Coast, if you live in the Midwest, you're not getting the direct sun as much as you may need all parts of the year. So it's hard. It's hard to be as healthy as you would need from a holistic approach. So you need to get the supplements in, definitely. Hollick's study examined the zip codes of people of color and found patients from predominantly black and Hispanic zip codes had lower levels of vitamin D and were also more likely to have coronavirus than in patients in predominantly white, non-Hispanic zip codes. The average adult needs around 2,000 units of vitamin D a day. Hollick said he has been taking 6,000 units a day for decades and is in great health. Several other studies on vitamin D have shown its benefit to the immune system. Research published in the National Institute of Health showed that people with lower vitamin D levels were more likely to self-report a recent upper respiratory tract infection than those with sufficient levels. Another study of more than 11,000 participants published in the British Medical Journal found vitamin D supplementation reduced the risk of acute respiratory tract infection among all participants. Vitamin D definitely improves your overall immunity to fight infections, Hollick said. Excellent article by the Boston Herald. Definitely check this out. Again, vitamin D can help reduce coronavirus risk by 54%. And the doctor is named Dr. Michael Hollick, Holick. And he is a Boston University doctor. So, great article. Shout out to the Boston Herald for this. It's a relatively cheap thing. You don't need to wait for a vaccine. I am not your doctor. I am not giving doctors advice. This man is a doctor, though, and he is making it extremely clear that you can take this. You don't need to be waiting around for vaccines and things of that nature. 2,000 units of vitamin D a day will extremely help out your immune system. He says he takes up to 6,000 units. Again, the study I was reading said you could take, extremely high units, and there's very little to risk to your system. You'd have to go extremely high, tens of thousands of units for several days, several days before you would start to overdose your body, quote unquote, on the hormone. Just really good news to know, really good news to hear as we continue to try to find ways to fight back against, this issue that is plaguing our society right now. Again, this is his ghetto point of view, guys. Bring you the news, views, previews, and reviews with just a twist of his ghetto point of view. Thank you guys always for rocking and vibing. I super duper appreciate it. You guys make doing this show so worth it. Anything that you guys want to hear from me, any type of stories you want me to touch on, any topics, any type of guests you love me to have through, please definitely check out last episode's conversation with Ashe Quran, minister in the Nation of Islam, hip-hop artist, activist, heavy in the community, helping make it a brighter day, one person at a time, directly in the streets, touching people, giving people inspiration, giving people hope, giving people encouragement, providing protection in those communities that need it. Brother's a great dude, you know what I mean? Happy to call that dude my brother, my friend. And yeah, man, it's it's good to have people like that on. It's good to have people like that on, get a positive word, and hear different perspectives. So his ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. Please don't forget to subscribe to the show. Hit the notifications bell so you can be alerted every time the shows come in live. The new shows are posted. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Sundays and Wednesdays is when we get it in. Best up and coming podcast in the whole damn universe. Come on, guys. His ghetto point of view. Get the news, views, previews, and reviews with just a twist of his ghetto point of view. Now, China can control the weather. What? And they have a machine that can alter weather patterns over an area as large as India. What? Excuse me? China plans to expand weather modification program to cover an area the size of India, according to the Daily Wire. Many countries have used weather. Very interesting. Many countries have used weather programs such as these modification for decades, with China being one of the most frequent users of the technology. Now the communist nation wants to expand the size of its test area to 5.5 million square miles by 2025, a massive increase in the area and a massive increase in an area that is larger than India. I mean, what else is there to say about that? That's absolutely insane. That is absolutely insane. So, weather modification exists, guys. Weather modification exists. Weather modification exists. They are using it, and they have no problem continuing to use this. According to Bloomberg.com, has China mastered weather modification? Should we worry? Using rockets and pickup trucks, Chinese officials are seeding clouds and bringing the rain. But do they have other uses in mind? Dumb. Of course they do. The weather can be used as a weapon just as anything else. There's this thing that I've been hearing about for years known as Project HARP, which is supposed to be an American-based project where we would be able to control atoms in the ionosphere and the mesosphere, pretty much being able to manipulate the weather. So I wouldn't be surprised China and other superpower countries with huge technology programs would be able to implicate the same things. Last month, 16 artificial rain enhancement rockets artificial rain enhancement rockets were launched off the back of a pickup truck 300 miles south of Beijing. The operation, ordered by the Jui County Meteorological Bureau in a response to a local drought, was reportedly a success. So if there's a drought, they could shoot rockets into the sky to make the rain come. Over the next 24 hours, the county received more than 2 inches of rain that, according to local officials, alleviated the drought, lowered the risk of forest fires, and improved air quality. This is Bloomberg.com, guys. It sounds like something out of a cartoon, but for decades, China has been home to one of the world's most advanced weather modification programs. One, not the only one, just one of them. So yes, your government can modify the weather, guys. This is not a joke. This is not a drill. This is not just a movie. This ain't a movie, dog. This ain't a movie, dog. Generally, its goals have been modest, more rain in arid places, so when it's dry, give them some more rain, less field-destroying hail, and sunny days for big national events. They can make it a nice sunny day for a national event, y'all. But that modesty is starting to give way. Earlier this month, China announced plans to expand its rainmaking capabilities to cover nearly 60% of the country by 2025. Details are sketchy, but fears are rising that the potential military uses of these capabilities and their effects on an already changing climate. For China and the world, these concerns need to be addressed soon. Humans have dreamed of controlling the weather for millennia. Probably have for quite a while now as well. But it wasn't until 1946 that scientists at General Electric Company discovered that dry ice can create precipitation when it interacts with clouds under certain conditions. By 1953, roughly 10% of the land area of the U.S. had been targeted for cloud seeding. This is in the 1950s, guys. So you can imagine what they can do now in 2020, going into 2021, almost 100 years later. 12 years later, the government was spending millions of dollars on weather modification research each year, and 15 other companies had started cloud seeding operations in 23 states. So you got private firms invested in doing this as well in 23 different states, on top of the millions that our government was spending. And this is just in the 60s and 70s. Guys, the truth is stranger than fiction. The truth is stranger than fiction. It wasn't just about rainfall, however. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. military weaponized cloud seeding to inhibit enemy troop movements and to reduce the effectiveness of anti-aircraft attacks. What? So they would, wow. So in Vietnam, they made it so that their planes could fly through and people couldn't shoot their planes down. And they made it so hard to see that the Vietnamese couldn't move their troops around in a coordinated fashion effectively, pretty much stopping them from being able to see one another and being able to outflank their opponents, who would have been the U.S. military. Wow. These uses so alarmed policymakers that they began seeking an international agreement to end quote-unquote environmental warfare. This is in the 60s and 70s, y'all. Environmental warfare. In 1978, the Convention on the Prohibition of Military or any other hostile use of environmental modification went into force. Although China ratified the treaty in 2005, its interest in controlling the weather and the environment didn't wane. Meteorological calamities such as hail and flooding account for more than 70% of the country's annual disaster-related damage. Are they trying to say that these things happening in China are China testing weapons on itself? Or other countries testing weapons on China? Because of that ongoing toll, the government has staked its legitimacy in part on how well it responds to such incidents. In recent decades, as the country has grown wealthier, the earth-altering projects such as the Three Gorges Dam have become a favorite solution. Weather modification, by comparison, is relatively inexpensive. In the 1980s, the government began making substantial investments in cloud physics and related fields. Advances in everything from satellites to rocketry boosted the effort. Even though definitive scientific proof for the effectiveness of cloud seeding only emerged in 2018, and in Idaho, not China, because again, though they may have one of the world's most advanced weather modification programs, they don't have the only one, and they might not have the most advanced one. Pay attention to the words, because the story gets deep, guys. Golly. Nonetheless, the government claimed a great success in 2008 when Beijing launched 1,110 allegedly rain-suppressing rockets to ensure that the Olympic opening ceremonies were dry. They were, although scientists have questioned whether the rockets had much to do with it. By 2015, there were rain-making and hail suppression programs in 30 Chinese provinces, employing some 35,000 people. This is crazy, guys. So this is a wide-ranging, massive program that they're doing. Success has bred greater ambitions. In 2017, China's top economic policymaker showered $175 million on a weather modification system designed to bring more precipitation to a region that makes up about 10% of the country's territory. Among the items purchased, 897 rocket launchers. A year later, Chinese aerospace and defense companies were reportedly building thousands of fuel-burning chambers intended to produce vast amounts of precipitation along the Alaska-sized Tibetan Plateau. This month's announcement was predictable progression, albeit one that has generated significant skepticism among scientists. But as the U.S. learned decades ago, even modest success at weather modification is sufficient to worry rivals and neighbors. And other Asian countries are increasingly concerned that China's program could negatively affect the monsoons and regular rains that have fed their people for millennia. Although the science behind such schemes is still debatable, this isn't an idle worry. In a region where tensions are already rising over access to water, weather modification will at best appear like a diplomatic pressure. At worst, it looks like a weapon. Yeah, this article is crazy, guys. Definitely check it out. Has China mastered weather modification? If they haven't, this article certainly makes you think that the U.S. has. Woo! Oh man. Oh man, oh man. Here we are. This is crazy. Crazy. But it's not crazy, because the truth is stranger than fiction, and if we don't believe it, it makes it easier for them to achieve it. If we don't believe it, it makes it easier for them to achieve it. That's a Bloomberg article from the 17th of December, 2020. Has China mastered weather modification? Check that out, guys. Whew. Should we worry? And lastly, for today, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka the infamous AOC, defends a medic who has an OnlyFans side hustle. I mean, who doesn't have an OnlyFans side hustle going on these days, right? So this medic, she's getting in a little hot water because she got caught out there on her OnlyFans page. They say she only makes about $25 an hour as a medic, which is, not a little bit of money. And I think we need to be honest about that. That is not a little bit of money at all. $25 an hour. If she's working 8 to 10 hour a day shifts, she could be making $200 to $250 a day. And I'm not saying that makes her rich, that makes her not have bills, not have, finances that she needs to handle. And, she might be the main breadwinner in her fam. So, she might have 3 or 4 kids to take care of. All that could be true. But what I would say is that, making about $25 an hour in a city like New York, where you have tons of people not making $25 an hour, and then on top of that you have an OnlyFans, you can kind of come across like, you may not have needed to be doing the OnlyFans, because there are literally young ladies on OnlyFans who that's their only way they are making ends meet right now. versus somebody who's a paramedic and makes $25 an hour at your day job to then pay for internet, pay for the lingerie and all the other nice things you would need to make people enticed to watch your channel. Yeah, it's your side business, it's your side hustle. Get your money, mama. I'm never going to stop you. Any woman from feeling like she got to get her money how she got to get it. But then you can't be surprised if you get fired from your job because they feel like this does not represent what we want people to see when they think of our company. It's a catch-22. You are entitled to do whatever you want in your free time. But if your day job is being, a part of this very conservative seeming organization, hospitals are very conservative seeming organizations. Hospitals don't really get themselves mixed up in politics. Hospitals don't really get themselves mixed up in political stuff going on in their area. Even hospitals in really bad areas where gunshots ring out every single day don't really get themselves involved in those politics. They don't get themselves involved in the politics of poverty, etc. They stay out of those. They're kind of impartial parties who are just there to supposed to heal people. So when you see, a paramedic that is easily recognizable in your community on OnlyFans, it's gonna get out. Good, bad, or indifferent, the word is gonna get out. And yes, this woman is a grown woman and entitled to do whatever she wants in her free time. And if she needs to do this to pay her bills, she needs to do this to pay her bills. Who are we to pocket watch? But at the same time, it's like, if you're making $25 an hour, you're not in the lowest rung of society. You're not low income. You're pretty middle class at that point. Yeah, it's not the highest of middle class, but you know what I'm saying? I said we wasn't pocket watching, but I just want to do the math real quick, because $25 an hour times, let's say just 40 hours a week, that's 1,000 a week times 4, that's 4,000 a month times 12, that's 48,000 before overtime. And let's say she's doing 50 hours a week, because that's very reasonable. Doing a job like a paramedic, you may have to work like 10-hour shifts, right? So if you're doing 10-hour shifts, that's 50 hours a week. So that's $1,250 for the week before taxes, of course. You know what I mean? 4 weeks, that's $5,000 for the year times 12, that's $60,000. No, again, not the greatest amount of money in the grand scheme of things, but you're definitely not low income. You're middle class, and then the middle class has it the hardest. So let's say after taxes, she may bring home like 50 if she got a couple kids, right? So yes, $50,000 is not a ton of money. $50,000 is not the largest amount of money, but $50,000 would be a blessing to so many people in society right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about perspective. And yes, you can't judge this woman for feeling she needs to make more money, but so many people have made less money and just been able to save or invest, flip the money. There's so many other things she could do. She could do investments. Has she looked into real estate? Has she looked into properties? Has she looked into buying government bonds? Mutual fund, what is she doing to make the money that she does have free and available work for her? Because she clearly has to have at least a couple $100s available of free money to make this operation run until the point where it became self-sufficient and it started paying for itself. So, because they say she has an $11.99 a month fee for her page, cool. So, are you into stocks, bonds, properties? Are you investing in other people's companies? I mean, what are you doing to make your money work for you outside of this? Because at the end of the day, you only can have an OnlyFans for so long. Your looks don't last forever. And if that's the only thing that you're thinking about of how to get the bag up, do your thing, boo-boo, get your money. But I feel the same way about that. I feel like a hustler. Like if that's the type of stuff you're doing to get to the bag, what are you doing to show the next generation they don't have to do that? Are you putting any of that money aside? Are you turning any of that money into assets that'll flip for you and your fan? Or are you just living the life YOLO, what you entirely entitled to do? But then don't be mad when people start looking at you like you're a little silly, Like, damn, that woman had a great job. To some people, that'd be considered a great job. And she had an OnlyFans. And 15 years later, she's still stuck in the same place. That would kind of suck. So all I'm saying is, mama, do your thing, boo-boo. Do your thing, boo-boo. But I hope you figure that out. So this Newsweek article, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood up for a local medic on Sunday night after a remedial report on the healthcare worker creating an erotic OnlyFans account to help her pay her bills. The Democratic Congresswoman tweeted in a response to a New York Post report entitled NYC Medic Helped Make Ends Meet with a racy OnlyFans side gig. About 23-year-old medic Lauren Caitlin Quay. Leave her alone. The actual scandalous headline here is medics in the United States need 2 jobs to survive, tweeted the New York lawmaker. Leave her alone. The actual scandalous headline here is the medics in the United States need 2 jobs to survive. Listen, I agree with that. You should, if you're a medic, you should definitely be able to survive off of your day job. But again, so many people that have these good gigs, are they investing? Are they taking that money and flipping it? What type of financial information do they have at their disposal? Are they investing in stocks? Are they investing in crypto? Again, are they putting together a side business outside of OnlyFans? Because 23-year-old lady, she probably don't have that much financial savvy yet. She probably just started making a lot of good money and realized, I can make even more money doing this side hustle. Let's be honest. She's 23, making about $50,000, $60,000 a year. She probably doesn't have that many kids yet. So this is just money she's making for herself. God bless you, boo-boo. But then don't get mad when people come at you, especially she works at senior care. Come on. Senior care. Seniors are very conservative. They're from a generation or two gone away. And so, they're going to have much more modest conservative views on things. So you have this person who serves seniors who has an OnlyFans. Of course, that's going to raise eyes in that type of community. And it's just unrealistic that we would think it wouldn't. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking up and defending this young woman's right to be a sex worker is absolutely fine. But to say, her needing 2 jobs to survive should be the real headline. Does she need 2 jobs to survive? We don't know what her finances are. But yes, living in a city like New York, $50,000, $60,000 for the year is not the greatest amount of money. I completely understand that. $50,000 take home after your $60,000 or $70,000 and original pay. Yeah, she probably definitely gets taxed hard, so she probably takes home like 48 to 50 just for the pocket. You know what I mean? So I get it, but again, that 48 to 50, so many other people would take that and look at that as a blessing and be like, I could take this and do so many things, start businesses, invest, do this, do that they wouldn't be thinking about on OnlyFans. So I think it's all about perspective, Quay reportedly works for Senior Care EMS, and an ambulance company serving hospitals in New York City. However, to help subsidize her income, Quay created an OnlyFans account where voyeurs could subscribe for $12 a month. The bottom line, I don't get paid a lot. I'm just trying to make ends meet, Quay told the Post. I truly don't think this has anything to do with me being a paramedic. Quay began working for the ambulance company as an emergency EMT in 2018. At the time, she was reportedly making minimum wage at nearly $15 an hour. Quay took a year hiatus from the job to complete her paramedic training at the Center for Allied Health Education, where her tuition cost $13,000. With her completed training as a paramedic, Quay earned $25 an hour for working at Senior Care EMS. So she gave herself a $10 raise. Go ahead, boo-boo. Go ahead, boo-boo. At the end of the day, it doesn't affect how I treat people. What I do in my free time is my business, Quay told the Post. Listen, that is very true, but you got to think about it. You're in a job where you're public facing. You see people all the time. People are going to recognize your face and now recognize your body. And you can't expect people not to say something because, again, that is seen as more like a conservative type of job. When you're just a healer, people look at you in a very high light. They don't expect you to be doing anything. And again, what you do in your side time is your personal business. But you, somebody who's making $25 an hour at their day job, saying that they're not making ends meet and need to do this as a side hustle, it makes your job look really bad. It makes the people at senior care EMS look like they don't take care of their employees, when you probably get great benefits, great health care, great health insurance, probably a nice retirement package, 401k, and all those things on top of this, what some people would say is not a bad salary for a 23-year-old who may not have that many family obligations and may just be taking care of himself. It has no effect on how I take care of my patients. I know when I'm working, I'm a paramedic, and I think I'm pretty good at my job. The medic continued, there are plenty of people who are medical professionals who have every right to do what they want with their own bodies. I'm not doing it at work. Healthcare workers aren't making a lot of money, and I am not the only one trying to make ends meet. Healthcare workers, yes. Paramedics, though, I think you guys are in a separate category, and when you say healthcare workers, you kind of convolute the issue, because you got healthcare workers out here making $8, $10, $12 an hour, $15 an hour, even like you were initially making. But when you start making that $25, $26, $30 an hour, if you're doing overtime, you're making, almost $30. Like, how overtime, if it's time and a half or it's double time, I mean, come on, let's be honest. She's not making a grand amount of money, but she's not making peanuts either. Medical professionals across the country have experienced the brunt of the coronavirus pandemic, and being in the field she's in, she's definitely been making a ton of overtime dealing with seniors and stuff at this time. Grueling hours and harsh conditions as hospitals exceed their capacity to manage the influx of COVID-19 patients. There have also been reports of nurses and healthcare workers going on strike for more protections against the coronavirus for both patients and their staff. Following Quay's interview with the Post, she deleted all of her OnlyFans posts and removed reference to her account from Twitter. I know senior care would deem this inappropriate, so I took it down in hopes that I won't lose my job in the middle of a pandemic and 3 weeks before Christmas. As many businesses were forced to close or operate with limited capacity, the unemployment rate in the U.S. has surged to a record-breaking 14.7%, and if they'll tell you it's 14.7, it's probably way higher, with a total of 23 million, which is probably also way higher, unemployed. Although rates have decreased in recent months, November reports showed 6.9% unemployment rate. And this is only the people that apply for unemployment, guys, or the people constantly getting an unemployment check. There are tons of people who are unemployed or not employed, who will not be employed, who are not a part of this number. Unemployment also stretched to the healthcare workers when elective procedures were suspended to reserve space and services for COVID-19 patients. Layoffs and furloughs affected workers at 266 hospitals in April, May, and June, according to Beckel's hospital CFO report. Got it. But this has nothing to do with this young lady. This young 23-year-old has been fortunate enough to keep her position at this time when so many people are being furloughed and losing their job. And she said nothing about having time removed from her because of the coronavirus. And like many other workers who work directly with senior staff, she's probably actually had an increase in a boost in hours. And now, if you were concerned about this if you knew that if they found out about this, you could possibly lose your job, then you shouldn't have done it in the first place. I'm just saying. But again, to me, that's the 23-year-old mindset. I'ma do this. And when I get caught, let me now apologize for it, instead of being mindful that this could possibly get me into a lot of trouble. So much trouble that I'm now famous in the New York Post for doing this, not doing my job, not being a good EMT or a good paramedic. I'm famous for exposing my body. Just don't know if was it worth it? Was it worth it in the end? Was it worth it in the end? Now, if they have a policy against this type of behavior, she really has no ground to stand on. Now, if AOC or other elected officials want to jump in and be like, yo, don't fire her, that's one thing, and that's fine. But at the same time, if she knowingly was violating the hospital policies, again, very conservative places that don't like their staff getting into this type of behavior, even off the clock. Just saying. Just my ghetto point of view, guys. Again, mama, get your money, boo-boo, do your thing. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they be like, nah, you a dub. Get out of here. Kick rocks. Mazel tov. Happy New Year. Go get it on your OnlyFans. This is his ghetto point of view, where we bring you the news, views, previews, and reviews with just a twist of his ghetto point of view. Thank you guys so much for rocking and vibing with us. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy the festivities with the fam. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take care of the community, guys, because we all we got at the end of the day. We riding this new wave of positive energy into this abundance. It's great reset. It's great conjuncture. The energy is on 1,000. I feel it, and I know you guys feel it too. We about to mass produce abundance out here. Everybody about to eat. Everybody about to be in greatness. We got it. Enjoy the day. Much love, gang. Peace.